So I sat down and played every single cyberspace stage through multiple times. So today we are going to be ranking every single cyberspace stage. And shout out to Beat1055 for making this tier list on Tier List Maker, because this made life easy. And if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you end up enjoying this video. Now let's get on with it. So we're going to go ahead and get started pretty quickly. So we have 1-1, which is Green Hill. I think it's supposed to be Windmill Isle, I'm pretty sure. And it's a okay tutorial stage. It's not terrible. I'll put it in C tier. It doesn't make me hate the game or anything like that. It just kind of, you know, it just kind of exists. But next up we have 1-2. 1-2 is probably going to have to go in S tier. It simply goes in S tier because, one, it's probably the hardest stage in the game to S rank, and it just kind of turned the whole, not the whole internet, but everyone who's been playing the game just kind of flipped it upside down, and people are like, yo, let's try to S rank this stage, see who can beat this stage, because it was just that hard to S rank. And it was kind of like a little cultural phenomenon amongst like Sonic fans and, like, you know, just people playing these games in general. So it's pretty cool, and we need more stages like 1-2 in terms of S rank time. I think that really, like, kind of became the talk of the town for a while, was just simply 1-2. The next up we have 1-3, which is, it's not something I would say is anything special, and I can't tell if it's based off another level or not, but from, you know, just my experience of playing it, it's an okay level. I mean, it's not like anything crazy. It's not any crazy 2D section mechanics or gimmicks. You're kind of just running forward and pressing jump. And honestly, you can kind of be in the air almost the whole time in that stage, because there's a bunch of balloons and like enemies to homing attack on. And you can just air boost across and just homing attack again. So, like, it isn't really an amazing stage, but it's not terrible. I think most of the 2D levels in this game are not that great, so I'm going to have to put that in C tier. Then I'll say for 1-4 we have Green Hill from Generations. And Green Hill from Generations is obviously a great tutorial stage. It's probably one of the best in the series besides, you know, like City Escape. But I would have to put it in like B tier because it's missing the 2D sections. And again, it's not that, you know, the level's bad or anything, because it's just some of the 3D sections from Green Hill. It's not the whole thing, I think. So that's probably why I give it B. It's good design and it's a fun level, and overall I enjoyed it. Next up we have 1-5, which is actually Chemical Plant from Generations. They have the levels back to back for some reason. And honestly, it's a pretty good level. I mean, it's pretty similar to the 3D sections in Chemical Plant. Obviously, there's no 2D sections. And honestly, I think the 2D sections in Chemical Plant for Generations are actually pretty good. So it's kind of, you know, sad that they're not in the cyberspace level. But, like, it's still good and it still works pretty well. And there's cool, like, tech you can do with, like, magnet dashing across and whatnot on this stage. And there, you know, it has its normal pathways, but it is very, very short. And honestly, all 5 of these levels are very, very short compared to some of these later ones. So I'm going to have to go on ahead and give this one also a B tier. Next up, we have 1-6, which I'm pretty sure is just classic Green Hill from Sonic Generations. So again, it's an okay stage. I don't really enjoy it that much, so I will also put this one in C tier. It doesn't really have, you know, that much intricate level design. It's just, you know, classic Green Hill. And, you know, of course, the thing about 2D stages in cyberspace is that they feel so much worse compared to the 3D. 3D doesn't feel that great either, but 2D feels just like way worse. So it kind of makes my enjoyment of the 2D levels not that great. There's a couple 2D levels that I really did enjoy, and we'll get to them later. Next up, we have the GOAT 1-7. Modeled after City Escape in some ways, not always, but this stage is a really fun stage to play through. It's cool seeing like the gun, like helicopters and like tanks and stuff. It's a really nice looking stage as well. But the stage has a nice little trick that you can pull off here. You can actually do a magnet dash, or, you know, homing attack boost cancel off the helicopter, and you can just fly straight to the goal. And honestly, that makes this stage, like, for speedrun replayability really fun, trying to get the very best time doing that. And stages like these, I think, are the most fun in the game. Now, this might be too, like, easy of a skip and too short of like a completion time for the skip, but there's some later levels that has stuff like this that, you know, doesn't take you to the very end. So overall, it's just nice, you know, having stuff like this. Even, you don't have to skip it, but I'm gonna have to give this stage a B at the top of B tier because it's just a little taste of some things you can do in later levels, and it's not quite amazing, but it's just a little taste. So moving on, we have 2-1, which is actually the 2D section of, you know, Green Hill from Generations, modern Green Hill. And yeah, it's almost exactly the same, and it's a longer stage than I say most of the stages before. You can like get the S rank in about a minute, like under a minute 40 is an S rank. And I think my fastest time on the stage is probably like 104 or something like that. But yeah, this stage is, I mean, it's hard to like say much about stages that kind of already exist, because we know they're either good or not good depending on, you know, if you enjoyed the stage or not in previous games. But in the context of just being a 2D section or 3D section, you know, it kind of changes up the conversation a little bit. Are these stages good enough alone as just one section? And I would say, I feel like for the 2D ones, not always, but because it's, you know, Gen's Green Hill, I think it's a fine level on its own, just being the 2D section. And there's a lot of platforming to do in this, so I think it's a decent level, and I will actually put this one in B tier. Next up, we have 2-2, which is really reminiscent of like Dragon Road with the like little spinning pillar, or not pillars, but platforms. And it's not exactly like Dragon Road, but like there's some pieces of it that are pretty similar. But other than that, it feels mostly original with how it's laid out, but it's more so, I would say, Dragon Road inspired. And it's a pretty fun stage to speedrun. It's actually just fun to just jump and then boost across the next one, stomp, and then jump and boost across to the other one, and then stomp again. It's pretty fun to do that. And then, you know, being fast at it is pretty fun, but it is also a very short level. You can beat it pretty quickly. You could probably beat it in like 27 seconds, maybe even shorter, obviously, because speedrunners go crazy in this game. But yeah, it's fun to just kind of get through pretty quickly. But sometimes that's the challenge of it, and can make it a little hard, is when you're trying to just go really fast through it. It can definitely mess you up, and you definitely can lose easily if you're just trying to like zoom through it. But overall, it's a pretty fun level, and again, I wish it was longer, but you know, it was a fun platform challenge to get through quickly. So I will have to put it in probably B tier as well. We still have not had any A tiers yet, which is funny, but we will soon, don't worry. Next up, we have 2-3, which is a very, very average, I would say, like 2D chemical plant level. It doesn't really do much special. You're just kind of moving forward, I guess. And I don't know, I don't really have much to say about it. It was just an average level, and it's kind of forgettable, so I'm going to put it in C tier. But then we have 2-4, which is not a forgettable level, and this level is actually Radical Highway from Sonic Adventure 2, and it's not as long as Radical Highway. It's like a little section of it, and some stuff is a little different, but it has different pathways. It has the rail pathway still. If you fall down the bottom, there's like little handles that can take you up. So there's a little bit of density in this level design, and I think it's a pretty enjoyable level, although also short. I'm gonna have to put it in A tier because it's a cut above the rest. Like a, you know, a stole from a great level. So I mean, it's kind of hard to say it's worse. Next up, we have 2-5, the Deja Vu song, and that song in this Cyberspace level is pretty good. But I don't like this level because I don't like the vine mechanics, and you know, Sonic Generations or whatnot with Sky Sanctuary holding on to the vine and stuff. They put it right back in this game, and it feels like extra bad just jumping off of it in this game because the way jumping is in this game. So I don't really find that level enjoyable to really go back and visit and replay or anything like that. But then next up, we actually have 2-6, which is Skyrail from Sonic Adventure 2, and this level is immaculate, let me tell you, because it is probably one of the longer levels in the game, and it's actually probably longer than actual Skyrail, and it's pretty fun to do skips off of and stuff, and you can actually just enjoy like a full-on level, which is kind of missing from this game. Is a lot of longer levels. So yeah, it's gonna have to go in S. And then next up, we have 2-7, which is pretty similar, honestly, to the last, or to the Deja Vu level, or 2-5, because it has that same mechanic, but like it isn't as bad. So I would probably put it in like C tier, bottom of C tier. It's still a fun level, but you know, it's not all that amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, the 2D levels in this game don't hold up as well as the 3D ones. And it's not just because it's 2D. I like 2D sections, don't get me wrong. I'm like in the minority of people that enjoys 2D and doesn't complain about 2D. But sometimes just they don't really go right because they just keep messing up the physics in these games. Like I don't get it. So it kind of hampers the 2D. Next up, we have 3-1, which is a great level. It's Green Forest. I don't even gotta say anything. That joint is going in S tier. Green Forest from Sonic Adventure 2 is so good in this game. Well, obviously not as good as the original, but it's a good remake-ish or like inspired version of Green Forest. It even has like the little secret once you go up the little ramp. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just really cool, and I love to see it in this game. Even though, again, it's not Sonic Adventure 2, but still, it's still a great level. And honestly, most of the SA2 levels in this game slap. And obviously, I'm a biased SA2 fan, but at the same time, the level design is just good. It's just good to go through, and they usually end up being the longer levels. Usually, like Skyrail and Green Forest are on the longer side, and I mean Radical Highway isn't, but like a lot of the SA2 inspired stages are. And 1-7, I guess, also is one that isn't that long either, but that only has like a few pieces from SA2. But Green Forest is just straight up Green Forest. Like, I'm not talking about levels that take pieces. This is literally just Green Forest. Now, we have our first great 2D level. I'm going to have to put it in A tier. It's the 2D section only of Savannah Citadel, which is probably most of that stage, if I'm being honest, from Sonic Unleashed. It is a great level. It's fun to play through because it's Savannah Citadel. It's just really fun, and the platforming challenges are fun, and like the little like poles and stuff in that are really fun as well. And yeah, it's Savannah Citadel for the most part. It's only missing the drift section, to be honest, and like the beginning part, but other than that, it's a pretty great stage, and I really enjoy it. And it's probably one of the best 2D levels we'll probably see, like ranked or hot. It'll probably be one of the highest 2D ranked levels. Next up, we have 3-3, which is the 3D section of Sky Sanctuary. I feel like I've said that so many times, which is the 3D section, the 2D section, and this is already S tier. 3D Sky Sanctuary is amazing. It's pretty good in this game too, and there's cool skips you can do using like the magnet dash and stuff. So I really think it's a cool level, and the aesthetic is beautiful. That sunset, and then the music. This is a great stage. It's a great stage overall, and it's one of the longer ones as well, and it belongs in S tier in terms of cyberspace stages. Now, I'm going to just preface this S tier doesn't compete with, I would say, most boost stages. It probably beats some Forces levels in terms of fun, but this isn't topping Unleashed or Gens levels, or even some Colors levels, just letting you guys know. So, this is S tier within the context of Frontiers, just letting you guys know. Next up, we have 3-4, which is actually, I think, a mixture between the Sonic Lost World grinding levels and I think some Unleashed challenge levels, and it's actually a really good mix and a really challenging level, and I actually quite enjoy it. And I have to put it in A tier because, again, the Sonic Lost World grind levels are actually pretty good and pretty fun, and as well as the Sonic Unleashed like challenge levels, like for the grind ones as well. And I think it's a good blend, and it just had the right amount of difficulty. I feel like it wasn't like boo boo baby easy, but it wasn't also like super duper hard, but it was just hard enough to where you could probably, like, you know, get hit by the lasers and fall off. And getting the red rings on this stage was fun too. But you know, overall it was a fun level to play through. And you know, I'm not really ranking it on how fun it is to get the red rings and stuff. Just overall a fun level that you could just sit down and play. Just that goes for all of these, and it's just a fun level you can sit down and play. Next up, we have 3-5, which is a drifting level, and it is abysmal to me. The drifting is awful in this game. It feels so bad, and this level is not fun to play whatsoever. And the only way you can drift is if you hit like a drift dash panel. You can't just drift, and I don't like that. Sonic has most of his moves back in this game, but he still doesn't have the natural drift, like when you hold the trigger and like drift, or he doesn't have the short hop. So it's kind of interesting they decided to make a single level for the drift, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like the slipperiness of Unleashed and also mixed with Sonic Colors, and it doesn't feel great. I overall just think this level just didn't need to exist, or just get rid of it entirely, because you can actually jump over the drift like panels and get through the level faster, but like it's not fun, you know what I mean? Like the main gimmick's supposed to be drifting, but it's not even fun. So I'm gonna have to put this in the bottom, the very bottom. It's probably the worst stage in the game to me, if I'm being honest. Next up we have 3-6, which is another 2D level, which I would say is probably one of the harder levels in the entire game. And it's a pretty fun level to actually speedrun through, but what makes it difficult is there's a lot of obstacles to get hit by and stuff, and like a lot of spikes and whatnot. But I overall think that it's not bad and it's not terrible to go through. It's pretty fun, and I would probably give it B tier. But like I said, it is one of the harder levels, so it has that going for it. And I like that it uses the little cannons mechanic quite a bit. And if you mess up on one of them, you just fall down to your death and die. But yeah, I call this level Rainbow Rings because there's tons of freaking rainbow rings. But yeah, Rainbow Rings is a pretty fun level, and I overall think that it's enjoyable, but it's not the best. And I wouldn't put it above any of these levels here, maybe except 1-5. So yeah. Then we have 3-7, which I'm pretty sure is just Chemical Plant from Gen's Modern Chemical Plant, like the 2D section. And I mean, it's not much to say about it. It's, you know, it's Chemical Plant from Gen's. It's pretty good. I'll put it in B tier. It's nothing crazy, but yeah, it's just Gen's. I don't know. Gen's is good. See, usually for this video, I'm having to look back and reference what some of these levels are because I can't remember them by level. But there's certain ones that I do because of how good they were. 4-1 is Metal Freaking Harbor, and it's going to have to go in A tier. And you're probably surprised that it's an A tier and not S tier with the other SA2 stages. It's because I'm a little disappointed about the top of the rocket a little bit. I'm not going to lie. And there's some things about it that are kind of odd. But overall, it's a great, you know, Metal Harbor inspired level, and I really enjoy it. I think they did a great job, you know, and the music is literally bangarang for some reason. Like, it's not actually bangarang, but it sounds like bangarang, so it's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, okay, this is interesting music choice. We have 4-2, which is a level I think is mostly original, but it does have a section of I think Speed Highway. But this level is great. The music is great. It bops. It's probably my favorite level in the entire game, just because how good the music is and how many different pathways there are in this level. You can go to the left side, you can go forward, or you can go forward but up, which takes you to that way. There's just so many different pathways, and like, where was this level design at throughout the rest of the game? Like, if all the levels were built like this and longer, they might, like, you know, contend with some great levels. I'm just saying. That's just me personally. Now we have 4-3, which is by far one of my favorite levels. I spent like 2 hours straight, like 2 hours one time just trying to speed run the level, because it just got deeper and deeper with the mechanics, figuring out what to do. And this level made me like Cyberspace, because I figured out how the magnet dash worked, and I went zoom in the very beginning of the stage and just flew across to the middle. And I was like, yo, this is cool. And then I found out you can do another one and just go to the side and skip another portion of the level. And then there's a little section where you can just run up the ramp if you just run into the wall. Like, I just kept finding all these cool speedrun tricks on this level, and it made me kind of like Cyberspace. And this level is definitely the reason why I don't hate it anymore, because I actually used to hate it. I was like, every single one of these levels is garbage. This game feels terrible, or Cyberspace feels terrible. But this level made me change my mind on Cyberspace, and I played every single level multiple times through, every single level, maybe except the drift one. But 4-3 is responsible for me enjoying this game a bit more. So 4-3 is gonna have to go right here. Great level, great speedrun level. I definitely recommend you guys try to beat my time, which I think it's 34 seconds. I'm pretty sure that's my time. My fastest is 34. So try to beat that on 4-3. Next up, we have 4-4, a fun level. I think it's more on the difficult side for this level as well, mostly because of the spikes. I just remember falling off because I got hit by freaking spikes at one section, and it's just so annoying. I was like, bro, I did not just get hit by that and just fall off the stage. But this level's fun to go fast in, but I think it's mostly hard if you're trying to speedrun it and go fast. At least for me personally, that's when I usually get messed up. And I'm like, okay, I have to restart the whole level now because I just got hit here. But other than that, it's a pretty good level, different pathways. I don't know if it's based off anything that I can tell, but it's a cool level. I pretty much enjoyed overall. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of a Heroes level, but I am not sure, because the one section with all the spikes and you're doing all the platforming up the hill is not very Heroes-like. So maybe not. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to give it a solid A tier level. It's pretty solid. 4-5 is going straight to A tier as well because the music mainly. That song I think is one of the best songs in the entire game. It's also a fun stage. You just kind of, it's like a pick your path kind of level, I guess. There's like 3 pathways and you kind of just pick your path. It's a really cool stage, and I overall enjoy the stage. So yeah, but mostly because of the music, if I'm being honest. And now we have 4-6, which is, I think, based off original Chemical Plant. It's a little boo-boo butt of a level in my opinion. But I'm gonna put it down here at C tier. It's nothing too special or too crazy, if I'm being honest. You know, it's Chemical Plant, another one. I feel like there's so many 2D Chemical Plant levels in this game, and they're not that fun to go back to, especially this one. So it's kind of forgettable in my opinion. And then next up we have 4-7, which is another like Night City level, and it's a pretty fun level. It has the little mechanic from SA2 where you can like hit the little bounce pads and they fly up. It's a really fun mechanic, and they also have like fans in the level, which is different than most of the levels, but it's not that special, and it is kind of forgettable, I will not lie. So just for that being a little forgettable, I will probably put it in C tier because I just don't really like it that much. And then we have 4-8, which is a very odd stage. It's so odd because it's like this music goes, it's going in, it's going hard, but you're basically just hitting rainbow rings the whole time to get to the end of the stage. And it's a really quick level, and I would say the S rank is a little tight, but it's not really long enough to really make you remember the level like that. And it's a really strange level. It's really automated, if I'm being honest, which is not that enjoyable, but you can do some like skips and whatnot in this level that can make it a little bit more fun. But overall, I wouldn't say that I enjoy this level like that, so I'm probably gonna have to, you know, put it up here in B tier. And last but not least, 4-9 I will put in A tier just because it is a cool reference to Sonic Adventure 2 with the city escape beginning part. And the skateboard is pretty cool. I like the skateboard. I mean, it's a short level, but it's pretty fun. It's pretty memorable because, like, it's the only real skateboard level. I mean, yeah, there's the one section in Metal Harbor, but, like, this is the only skateboard level that's pretty decent in length, I guess, with the skateboard section alone. So people will remember this as, yo, the skateboard level from Frontiers. So I would say, yeah. And here it is. This is every single cyberspace stage ranked. For my personal opinion, there's only 2 really boo-boo butt ones. I would say C tier can range from okay to boo-boo butt, but not as much boo-boo butt as D. And then B tier is, you know, pretty decent levels that are fun to revisit for whatever reason, but they just kind of lack in a lot of things, either if it's length or, you know, just not being fun. But then we have A tier, which is pretty good levels. I would revisit them. But then S tier is levels that I will probably turn the game on specifically to play, and only those. So yeah, that is every single cyberspace stage ranked. It's kind of difficult to pinpoint, you know, each one just by looking at it if you haven't played them like I have, or, you know, just haven't seen them enough. But yeah, I've played enough cyberspace to kind of recognize most of them. I would say in the beginning I was looking back at a video for references, but other than that, just seeing the number, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one. So yeah, this is every single cyberspace stage ranked. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe, and like always, I'll see you in the next one.
Well, whatever happens, happens.